Hello everyone, welcome to GRIAS Academy Daily Editorial Analysis. My name is Harish Amiti and I am presenting you today 20th October 2023 editorials from the Hindu. So these are our topics for discussion today. So our first topic for discussion is Israel-Palestina issue. This issue is being in news for so many days now. I am sure all of you must have already read about this news. Still, I will give a brief about this issue because today an editorial came in the Hindu. So very briefly, I will touch this issue. So first you should know what is Israel-Palestina conflict. Then you should know about Gaza and Hamas. Then what is two-state solution and India stand. Because there are two related news. This one editorial and another news also in today's newspaper related to this Israel-Palestina issue. So what is this Israel-Palestina issue? See, this is the geographical part. This is in West Asia, on west side of India. If you see near that Saudi Arabia, here it will be Saudi Arabia. This side, here it is Egypt, Mediterranean Sea. I hope you have identified the geography. So this is the country of Israel right now in 2023, and there are two parts which are combinedly called as Palestine. So there are two parts, two geographically distant parts which are combinedly called Palestine. Palestine is not a single country like other countries. Palestine is actually a group of two distant geographies. It is not a single contiguous geography. One part is West Bank. This is the West Bank, and another part is Gaza Strip. So this is one geography, this is one geography. These together combinedly called Palestina, the country of Palestina. There is no single government ruling this country of Palestine. It is not internationally recognized by many countries. Some countries recognize it, some countries does not recognize it. So this Israel-Palestina conflict has been continuing for almost 70 years now. So what is this issue? Jews are a religious group. This religious group called Jews historically have been persecuted across many countries. There is a religion called Judaism. So those followers of Judaism are called Jews. So wherever these Jews are, usually they are seen with some kind of stereotypes across many world. It's rooted in history. So Jews were persecuted by many societies, many kingdoms, etc. throughout in the history. It is history. So by 19th century, there was a feeling among some Jews that we Jews need a separate country where we can feel safe, we can feel secure. So by the end of 19th century, 1890s, some Jews started to plan about a concept called Israel, a land for their own country. So they have given a name for it called Israel. So what is Israel? A land for Jews based on religion. If you see, many countries are not based on religion. India, USA, these are not countries formed on religion. These are not countries formed on the basis of religion. But this concept of Israel was even conceptualized on the basis of religion for Jews. Okay, still it was in idea stage. Now World War II is happening. There is a person called Hitler in Germany. He is very prejudiced with Jews. He hates Jews. He is killing Jews on millions, on huge numbers. He is persecuting Jews like anything. So Jews started running to this land where there is a country called Palestina. So in 1940s, there was a country called Palestina. There was no Israel. Why people started running here? Because of there is a city called Jerusalem here. There is a city called Jerusalem here. This city of Jerusalem is religiously sacred, S-A-C-R-E-D, sacred to all the three major religions. One is Judaism, one is Christianity, another one is Islam. So these three religions, the city of Jerusalem is very sacred for various reasons historically. So Jews, the concept of Israel was formed around this city. So whoever the Jews wanted to form this country of Israel, they have planned it around the city of Jerusalem. Now when Hitler is persecuting Jews, millions, all the Jews started running to this land of Palestine. So before Jews coming here in large numbers, Arab Muslims are living here. Arab Muslims are living here. If you see, all the countries surrounded Israel are Arab countries. Egypt is Arab Muslim country. Saudi Arabia, Jordan, Syria, Lebanon, all of these are Arab Muslim countries. Now there is already a country here, some people. Now some other people are coming here. They have a different conceptualization of different country. So two religions, two countries, two ideas. So naturally there will be conflict. At that time, by 1946, British were ruling this part, this Palestine country. World War, British has just won the World War. Hitler was defeated. British has won the World War. Same like India, same like British were so apathetic to the India and Pakistan. They were so less involved in this Israel-Palestine conflict. They were not much interested. They have referred this issue to the United Nations. Now United Nations gave a solution called two-state solution. What is two-state solution? Just give states to both of these people. Israel wants a country, give this to them. Palestinians want a country, give this to them. So they have divided this land and allotted some land to the Israel, allotted some land to the Palestine. But not everyone is happy with this. Some Jews want whole land to them. Again, some Palestinians want whole land to them. So no one is willing to compromise. This conflict has gone through many wars, again and again, again and again. Now in 2023, again a group called Hamas, which is ruling this Gaza Strip. As I said, over the years, because of the wars, this Palestine country got divided into two. The two-state solution of United Nations could not be implemented because no one is compromising. There were continuous wars. So after successive years, after many wars, this is Palestine, this is Israel. Israel won majority of wars, so it got majority of land. So now Hamas, there is a group called Hamas operating from this Gaza Strip. There is another group called Palestinian Authority ruling this West Bank. So this West Bank and Gaza Strip together is called Palestine, but it is being ruled by two different authorities. One is Hamas, this Gaza Strip. Another one is Palestinian Authority. This Hamas is behaving like a terrorist group. This Hamas is behaving like a terrorist group. Recently, on October 7th, this Hamas terrorist group has crossed the Gaza Strip border, entered into Israel, and attacked the civilians of Israel and taken many civilians as hostages. So it is a pure terrorist attack. Why? Because you are not fighting in military, you are torturing civilians, you are killing civilians, you are persecuting civilians. So when you involve, the moment you involve civilians, you are not any freedom fighter or anyone, you are a terrorist. So now Israel is retaliating. Israel does not tolerate taking its citizens as hostages. So now Israel is retaliating. Now the problem with Israel retaliation is that Israel is also not strictly adhering to the international laws. Israel has only one target, to eliminate Hamas, and it does not care about the civilians in the Gaza Strip, the people who are not a part of the Hamas group in this Gaza Strip. So no one is cared about the innocent civilians in the Gaza. So many people, many millions of people got killed. Recently, one hospital in this Gaza Strip got attacked. Hospital. So civilian facility. Hospital got attacked. 500 people died. Israel says, I did not do the attack. Hamas saying, I did not do the attack. Then who attacked the hospital? So these kind of things happening. 500 civilians died. No one is being answerable. So the situation is very dire in this West Asia. It is not good for the world, not good for any country. So every country is trying to use this situation for its own selfish reasons. So that is the situation in the existing world. So you know what is Gaza and Hamas now, you know the conflict, and you know this two-state solution. Two-state solution is peacefully dividing this land between these two countries, Israel and Palestine. Now what is India's stand? See what our Prime Minister has said. Prime Minister clearly told that we support two-state solution. For various reasons, in the past 3 decades, India has become closer to the Israel. After independence, India thought this is originally the land of Pakistan. So it is very ethical. Sorry, this is the land of Palestine. This is the land of Palestine. So if you take an ethical stand, Palestine, this is the homeland of Palestine. Israeli people came from outside. So either they should coexist with these Palestinian people or they should go back. This is originally the land of Palestinians. So India did not cooperate with Israel in the initial years. But Israel always liked India. Israel, for some reason, in the past 70 years of Indian independence, Israel always liked India. So over the years, Israel and India became very close. Now India and Israel are very big friends in the global stage. They are very good friends at the global stage. Still, even with the good friend relation we are having with Israel, still our country is sticking to somewhat ethical stand of this two-state solution. So India supports two-state solution even now. India wants Palestine as a country. So that is what Prime Minister has clarified. So in this editorial, if you see, now author is saying, okay, Hamas is a terrorist group, we agree, but you also must stop the bombing. He is telling the Israel, you also must stop the bombing to find a solution, because all of this is basically rooted in the history. You cannot just see an isolated terrorist attack in a separate way. It is related to some larger problem which you are not willing to compromise. So Israel is also not being responsible. So both sides need to cool down. Both sides need to see the bigger picture. So that is what the author is saying. Author is requesting these larger countries like US and other superpowers, Russia, etc., to control Israel, because if a terrorist group attacks someone, everyone can condemn. It is not an issue. All the countries, India and UK, US, everyone condemn the terrorist attack of Hamas. But when a responsible country behaves like a terrorist organization, no one can freely condemn. So it will be a problem. So someone, that superpowers, USA, etc., needs to control Israel so that it will behave responsibly. That is with this article. A much repeated editorial. That is why I have just orally explained it. In the past 10 days, there are like 20 to 30 editorials alone on this issue. And we will see keep coming more. They won't stop. They keep coming till the issue got solved. Next one, delimitation and devolution. Delimitation and devolution. So are southern states being punished for their success? So first understand that there is an article 81 in our constitution. It says that India should be divided as constituencies. When you vote for a Lok Sabha, you vote in a particular constituency. So how this constituency is divided? Whole Indian geography, you have to divide into 543 constituencies. If you see here, so India is divided into 543 Lok Sabha seats. Now this 543 Lok Sabha seats exist all over India. Then how will you divide this state-wise? How many you will give to Maharashtra, a large state with big population? How many you will give to Sikkim, a small state with smaller population? Then how many you will give to Jammu Kashmir, a large state with small population? So such kind of distribution is clarified by Article 81. How will you divide that? Article 81 says you take some group of population and throughout India, same group of population must have some constituency. That means if in Maharashtra 1 lakh people belong to one constituency, in Sikkim also you should take 1 lakh as one constituency. So that means based on the population, a state will get number of constituencies. Next, Article 82. What Article 82 says? Now you have distributed this. How you distributed? You have calculated the population, then you have distributed the whole country into parts called constituencies. So the calculation of population is called census, and this distribution is called delimitation. Delimitation means separation. So separation of region into constituencies. So there are two acts. One is you calculate population, another one is you undertake delimitation. Now Article 82 says you should carry out delimitation every 10 years because you also carry census for every 10 years. So Article 81 says how constituencies should be allocated state-wise. Then Article 82 says how this delimitation should be carried out. So after every census, you have to readjust the seats. So every 10 years, you calculate how population varies. Then you reallocate constituencies every 10 years. So that is with these two articles. This was done during making of constitution in 1949. Okay, 1949 we have adopted the constitution. When we adopted the constitution, in 1950 Jan we have adopted the constitution. Adoption 1949 November 26, implementation from 1950 January 26. So in 1949, 1950 we have implemented this constitution. Now these articles were made at that time. At that time Indian population was higher compared to the other countries, but almost 1/5 to 1/6 to whatever it is now. significantly lesser than what it is now. Later, many states have seen so much population growth, and this is not equal everywhere. Some states have seen too much population growth, and some states have seen very lesser population growth. Because even at the time of independence, just after independence, we felt that our population is too high, our resources are too less. So the food grains we are producing are too less, but our population keep growing at a very faster rate. So this will be a problem in future. So we need to control our population. So right after the independence, right after achieving independence, India started focusing on population growth, controlling of population growth. In 1970s, we have taken very drastic measures for controlling population. Just understand, from 1950s to 1970s, we have done so much for population control. But in 1970s, it was observed that population control was successful in southern states. So these are southern states. Now these are southern states, these are northern states, eastern, etc. Whatever the techniques we have implemented, whatever the policies we have implemented to control population, they were comparatively successful in southern India, and they were comparatively failure in northern India. So population in northern India grown at a faster rate than population in southern India. Now what Article 81 says? Now Article 81 saying that you give seats as per population, but when population increasing in some states, the number of seats given to those states will increase, because every 10 years you are readjusting. So those states who are listening to the government, those states who are actually controlling the population, sticking to the national policy, now they are getting lesser seats. Those states who are not implementing the central government policy, those northern states with higher population, they are getting more number of seats if you keep doing this every 10 years. So whoever sticking to the rules are getting punished. So this was realized in 1970s. This was realized in 1970s. So in 1976, India has stopped this delimitation exercise. We made an amendment in the constitution saying that for future purposes, we will only take this 1971 census and the delimitation. So whatever the delimitation we did after 1971, in 1971 census was conducted, delimitation was done. But till 2001, that means next 25 years, we have decided not to conduct delimitation. Census keep conducted, but delimitation was not being conducted because population is changing and it will be discriminatory to some states. So we have frozen delimitation temporarily for next 25 years, so that in this 25 years, northern states can control their population. This was the plan in 1976. So from 1976 to till next 25 years, 2001, till 2001, this delimitation act was frozen. It was not repeated every 10 years. After 1971, it was not conducted again till 2001. Then even by 2001, it was noticed that still that the pattern of population control growing in northern India is happening. The pattern of growing population is happening in northern India. It is not controlled even by 2001. Southern states further controlling, and there more the population of southern states, the growth in the southern states is less, the growth of population in northern states is very high. Still that disadvantage still exists. So again in 2001, we have frozen this delimitation for a further 25 years till 2026. Understood? So after 1971, we have not done delimitation at a national level, at India level. Within states we have done in 2001 without changing the number of states within India. We have just changed the shapes of the constitution. This year this city may belong to one constituency, next year it may belong to another constituency, but the number of seats within the state are not changed. So there is no delimitation at national level after 1971. Till now there was a freeze till 2026. So now we are nearing this 2026. So now the debates are getting started So what will happen after 2026? Because even till today, the pattern has not changed. Again, northern states did not control their population properly. They are still growing. Southern countries, on the other hand, have controlled better, and they have focused on this development of people better than northern states. So the discrimination differences still agree. So again, all the leaders of the southern states are saying, you have to freeze it again. You have to continue this freeze. You cannot conduct a delimitation after 2026, because if they conduct a delimitation, because population of northern India grown at a faster pace, now northern India will gain some seats. One study showed that recently in Hindu, 37 seats will be gained by the northern states. Southern states will lose 23, and eastern states will lose some other 14. So eastern and southern state will lose many seats if we conduct delimitation now with the existing population. Southern states and eastern states will lose seats, northern states will gain. The states which have listened to the government policies in a better way, the states which have taken the true spirit of India will get punished. So same, wherever we are in 1976, we are still here. So that is what this article about. This is basically an interview. This article is basically an interview between two persons, debate between two persons, interviewed by some third person. So they are discussing pros and cons of the issue. Now you see, not just political constituencies wise, not just delimitation wise, there is also another demerit considering this population for things. One other thing is this fiscal transfers. Now there is something called Financial Commission, Article 280. You will read in quality Article 280. There is something called Finance Commission. So what is this Finance Commission? Finance Commission decides on how much taxes central government will collect some taxes. Central government in India will collect some taxes. Now, when it collects, how much of the collected amount would have to be given to all the states? That means state governments will be recommended by the Finance Commission. Again, within the states, how it should distribute between states, how much should go to Telangana, how much should go to Himachal Pradesh, how much it should go to Andhra Pradesh, how much it should go to Kerala, how much it should go to Mizoram, Manipur. So this internal distribution also will be recommended by the Finance Commission. So that means how much center should keep, how much it should give the states, it will be recommended by the Finance Commission, and within the amount given to the state, how much it should distribute between the states also decided by the Finance Commission. Now if you see on what basis Finance Commission recommends this, see this 15th Finance Commission. So it is taking some factors to decide before making this recommendation. It taking some factors. So if you consider all factors as 100%, tax efforts as 2.5, demographic performance as 12.5, demographic performance is how better you have control your population. Income distance, that means whether you are a poor state or a rich state. Forest and ecology, area and population. See this population here. This is a good thing. The recent Finance Commission has considered this demographic performance. It is a good thing, ensuring somewhat justice in this unjustified system. To some extent it is justice, but it is not fully giving the impact, because still it is giving 15% to the population, 15% weightage to the population. That means most populous states will get more revenue, less populous states will get lesser revenue. So the fundamental problem still exists, and some people argue that the impact of this scheme also very less. Okay, you have made it look like you are doing some justice to the states which have done some good performance in population control, but they are saying overall impact is very negligible. So the debate still continues. So the differences in rate of growth of population between northern and southern states is having two impacts. One, if we conduct delimitation, it will benefit northern states. Again, when we do this fiscal transfers every year, it is already benefiting northern states. One Kerala minister recently in Kerala Assembly has told that Kerala through many rules and regulations has to pay central government 1 rupee. Let's say for every 1 rupee it pays to central government or to the country, it will receive back 35 rupees, sorry, 0.35. That means 35 paise. So for every 1 rupee contribution from Kerala to India, Kerala is getting back only 35 paise through this fiscal transfer. Only 35 paise. That means it is contributing 65 paise net to the country for every 1 rupee. Next, if you take the case of Uttar Pradesh, UP, for every 1 rupee contributed by the UP to the nation, it is getting 1.6 rupees through this fiscal transfers. See how much difference between southern and northern states. That means indirectly southern states are giving this money to the northern states. Southern states are giving this concession to the northern states. That is what this Kerala minister is arguing. So others are finally saying southern states have listened to the policy of the government in a better way. They are following the rules. For following the rules and performing better, they should not be punished. So there should be a further freeze on the delimitation. No, you should not conduct a delimitation after 2026. So same as in the past 50 years, you have put on a freeze. Please keep doing that. But there is a downside to this also. It's not just simple freezing and everything. There is a downside because our constitution is basically based on this principle, violation of one person, one vote principle. Our constitution is basically based on one person, one vote. Every Indian has one vote. That is what the spirit of true democracy. So when we mean India is a democracy, what do we mean? Every Indian's vote is equal, whether he is rich or poor, whether he lives in Kashmir or Tamil Nadu, wherever he lives, whatever he does, whether he is a man or a woman, whatever his caste or whatever his religion, his vote has equal value. Now you are saying there are more people in northern India, lesser people in southern India, but still somehow you have to balance both. Don't consider the population growth in northern India. The southern leaders are saying that, but that doesn't automatically mean the value of a person in the south is more than value of a person in the north. So it violates this basic principle of one person, one vote. So this is a downside. Both sides of the argument are valid. Now we have to see what government does. Now the shape of climate justice in a warming India. So see this article. So the author is highlighting that climate justice, climate change is happening in the world for various reasons. You will read in this geography, environment in GS3 also, geography in GS1 also. You will see that something called climate change is happening. So the climate of earth is changing. Climate of the earth is changing and this is resulting in global warming. The earth is warming, rise in sea levels rising and coastal communities getting inundated. And another impact of this climate change is extreme events. Extreme events is one is droughts. That means this year a area will see drought. There will be no rain at all. Severe drought, all the crops will fail. Next year the same region will see a flood. It means there is a inundation of the area, too much water. Last year there was no water at all, this year there is too much water, again crops will fail. These are extreme events. That means there is a severe deviation from the ordinary conditions. This is a impact of consequence of climate change. So for various reasons, our pollution, our vehicles, our agriculture, for so many reasons, we are changing the climate of the earth, which is called climate change. It is having many negative consequences. So we have to fight it. We have to fight the climate change. So in the fight against the climate change, there are two fundamental principles we need to follow. There are two fundamental principles we need to follow. What are those? One is those responsible for the greenhouse gas emissions historically should bear the social and environmental cost. Now to fight this environmental impacts of climate change, we need some money, we need some resources. We are saying our vehicles are polluted, so we need to use electrical vehicles. So electrical vehicles are usually costlier than traditional vehicles, and the cost for research on the technology. So everything takes extra resources to make the transition. So who has to bear that cost? Those who are responsible historically. So historically, these colonial countries, USA, UK, all of these countries colonized Asia and Europe, and industrial revolution has occurred in Europe. So all of these Western countries primarily reason for pollution at the global level. Even within India, poor people poor people does not have to do anything with the climate change. They are not the one polluted the country. Rich people with their costly cars and luxury cars and their factories. So basically, in the world, some people are responsible for the climate change, but the impact will be on everyone, especially on the poor people, because they cannot adapt. They don't have anything to adapt. So who has to bear this cost of social and environment effect? Those people who are responsible. This is the first principle. What is the second principle? Those people who are getting affected should be compensated. Again, as I said, let's take an island. Let's take this Maldives island. This island, Maldives is a group of islands, a country which is a group of islands. Now Maldives is fine, but as I said, because of climate change, sea level was rising. But if sea levels rise, these small islands will be flooded and become submerged under the water. If islands submerged under the water, then what will happen to all the people who are living in Maldives? They have done nothing. As I said, Western countries are the main culprits. Historically, they have polluted the world. But who are paying the price first? Maldives. People in the Maldives are the one paying the price first before Americans. Americans are safe. They are within the continent. Europeans are safe. They are within the continent. But these island people who are living in the middle of the sea are the one getting affected first. This is just an example. So some people are getting affected more worse than the other people. So somehow they have to be compensated. Inside also we will see many examples how some people like farmers and people who depends on fishing, etc., fishing communities are more affected because of this climate change. So those people who gets affected by this climate change should be compensated. Now with these two principles has to be implemented in two ways. One is at the global level between countries. As I said, historically, colonial countries are the responsible. British has came here and colonized India. India did not do anything. British are the ones did all the industrialization, colonization, etc. They have polluted all the earth and everything, and they have produced so much output by this burning of fossil fuels, etc. They have financially gained from it historically. If you see the history of 18th, 19th centuries, there was no much industrialization happening in India by the Indians. So India was not historically responsible. Now, so that historically, because British was UK was responsible, it should be held responsible right now for this fight against climate change. So now to have that adoption, global adoption, now UK also should take the initiative. So one is making people who are responsible answering at the global level. Second one is within the country, making people answerable who are the historically responsible. So within the country, outside the country, those who are responsible should be answerable. So global level items. Now let's see what are we doing at the global level to make people who are answerable. So recently G20 summit has conducted, this has occurred in India only. They have adopted something called Delhi Declaration. So they have adopted something called Delhi Declaration. Delhi Declaration. In this Delhi Declaration, all the countries, these G20 countries, have agreed on something. Consensus to triple renewable energy capacity. So whatever the renewable energy capacity we have, that energy we generate from solar and this wind energy and nuclear energy, etc. These are renewable energies. So let's triple our renewable energy capacity. If we are producing, let's say 100 gigawatts right now, let's triple it. That means we have to increase it to 300 gigawatts. So this is one agreement all G20 members have reached. Another one is that double the rate of energy efficiency. What is energy efficiency? Reducing the usage of power. Now my bulb is using let's say 30 units per month. Now I have to replace it with some other bulb which uses less power. Let's say 15 units. So earlier it was 30 units bulb is using, now I have replaced it with a new technology LED light. Now it uses only 15 units. So I have doubled the energy efficiency. You halving the power, it's nothing but doubling the energy efficiency. So these kind of initiatives G20 members have agreed, but they did not agree on something which is phasing out of fossil fuel. That means eliminating the use of coal, oil, natural gas, etc. So phase out of fossil fuels was not agreed because these countries historically who are responsible, America and Europe, etc. These countries already advanced in their technology. They have already advanced technology with this renewable energy. So they are ready to phase out coal. But if you see developing countries like India, China and African countries, these countries are not historically responsible for pollution, and they have so much population who are living in poverty, and they have to take care of development of these people. They have to lift these people from the poverty. So if we suddenly phase out the coal, we don't have the money or technology to completely switch to the renewable energy. So developing countries are not agreeing to the phasing out. So developing countries are saying phase down. We will reduce but not completely eliminate. We will reduce but not completely eliminate. Developed countries asking for phase out. You stop it completely, don't use anymore. But there is no agreement on this. So whatever be the discussion, at least something is happening on the global level. And there is another concept called CBDR, common but differentiated responsibility, CBDR. In environment part of GS3, you will read about something called UNFCCC, Paris Protocol, Kyoto Protocol, etc. You will read in static part in environment GS3. In this framework, UNFCCC framework, United Nations Framework Convention for Climate Change. So under this framework, countries have agreed on something called common but differentiated responsibility. That means common but differentiated. That means not equal responsibility for every country. Which country has polluted more in the history will take more responsibility. Countries that have polluted less in the history will take less responsibility. So everyone takes the responsibility, some responsibility. It is common, but it is differentiated. So CBDR, countries have agreed in the past on something, so it is going at least to some extent. So there are some things happening at the global level. At least they are happening. They may not be fully satisfactory, but they are happening to some extent. But the problem is, the same level of attention is not being given inside the country. Between countries, okay, we are taking some action, we have recognized who is responsible and who is not. Then what about within the country? Within the country, not everyone is equal. Some people are rich, some people are poor. Some people, they call themselves higher caste, some people, they call themselves lower caste. Women are not allowed in every job, men taken more jobs. Women are confined to household. So if you stay in the household, you have to cook with firewood, then you will take more pollution. So those women who cook with firewood inside the house, so they are more prone to the pollution. They have to go outside and bring all the wood. So there are many inequalities within the country, regional differences. Some states are rich. If you take Telangana, Maharashtra, these states are rich countries. If you take Bihar, UP, these are poor states. So there are many kinds of inequalities within India. So you cannot hold everyone equally for responsible for the climate change. Similarly, the impact will also be not equal on everyone. Whatever the impacts we are facing because of climate change, because of our inherent inequalities, the impact will also differ. It will be different on farmer, it will be different on a software worker who is sitting in the AC, impact on him is different. A farmer who is working on the field in scorching sun will be different. So now the situation is that within the country we are not taking proper care of these two principles which I have told you, holding people responsible and compensating the most vulnerable. Such an approach avoids concerns of climate justice within India, particularly its effect on inequality. So that neglect within the country will have some consequences. Climate change and socio-economic inequality. So there are two kinds of inequalities. One is socio-economic inequalities. So this author is talking about two kinds of inequalities. One is socio-economic inequalities, that means poor, rich, high caste, low caste, male, female, etc. Socio-economic inequalities. Another one is regional inequalities, that means southern states, northern states, eastern states. So first he is talking about climate change and socio-economic inequalities. So it is well documented across the world that climate change and energy transition disproportionately affect the poor. So first of all, the impact of climate change will be more on poor. Let's say if there is so much heat on earth, as I said, climate change is resulting in global warming. The average temperature of earth is growing up. So in summers you will feel more heat. So who will get more impacted due to increasing temperature? A poor man who is living in a hut, or a rich man who is living in some building with whole AC. So naturally poor will be more impacted. Now again, streets are getting flooded, the monsoon is being erratic, and cities are getting flooded. Who will get impacted? A person who is living in a high building, or a person who is living just near to the road. So the impacts of climate change, by naturally they will be more on poor. Again, energy transition. Now we are saying to fight this climate change, we need to switch from fossil fuels to renewable energy. So this coal, natural gas, oil needs to be stopped. Wind, solar energy, nuclear energy, hydel power needs to be promoted. So this is what the scientists and the whole world is saying. So this transition, energy transition needs to be done. We need to change from traditional energies to modern energies. But this transition will also have more impact on the poor. Let's say if I suddenly close a coal plant. Now there are some people, poor people, who are working in a coal plant. Suddenly government decided to phase out coal, as the developed countries asking it to. So all the coal plants in India closed. Now what about the workers in the coal plant? So there are many workers working in the coal plant. Again, coal mines, there are many poor people who are working in the coal mines. Now what will happen to those people? So suddenly you cannot make this transition. You have to make a gradual transition, phase-wise transition, ensuring the livelihoods of these people not disturbed. So you have to take care of these poor people during this transition also, not just of climate change. In the very fight against the climate change also, these people can be affected. So these people can be affected by the climate change and our actions for negating the climate change. So both are dangerous to these people if we are not doing them properly. Climate change policies such as droughts, they impact farmers. So as I said, drought will impact the income of the farmer. This year crops are will get lost due to less water. Next year they will get lost due to too much water. Rising ocean temperatures deplete fish stocks, so it will affect fishing communities. So here author has shown what is impact of climate change on various communities within India and the problems due to existing inequalities within India. Next, climate change and this transition. There should be a deliberate focus on protecting livelihoods. As I said, you cannot just shut down a coal plant overnight. You have to first ensure the livelihoods of the people, then you can do any kind of transition. So you have to ensure alternative job opportunities for them. So you have to take care of these vulnerable communities. Skill sets required in the jobs generated per unit of output in renewal vastly differ. So there is something new called Surya Mitras in solar sector. So new jobs are being offered to people who are skilled in installing solar power plants. They are called Surya Mitras. So some people like the Swiggy boys and Uber drivers, there are something called Surya Mitras who are skilled in installing solar panels. So when a person installs a solar panel in his home, some person called Surya Mitra will come to his house and he will install the solar panel. So the skill sets required in such kind of new kind of renewable energy sector is different from the skill sets traditionally required working in coal or this oil refinery, etc. Many fossil fuel firms are in the public sector and as a critical work as a critical avenue for creating job opportunities for lower sections. So as I said, there is a, let's say, PSU, Coal India. There is a PSU, Coal India. All the people who are working in the PSU, what will happen to them? Now, whenever we work in the government sector, whenever there is a recruitment in the government sector, it will be based on the reservation, and many lower caste and class people will benefit from this reservation. So, If you suddenly stop all these kinds, the impacts will be much more diverse and it will affect the lower communities, class-wise and caste-wise in many ways. Next one is regional inequalities. First, see the map. In geography, you will read that this coal, oil refineries, etc., mostly concentrated in the eastern region. Natural oil fields and natural coal fields are mostly concentrated in the eastern region, especially for coal, which is a fossil fuel we are trying to eliminate. So all the coal fields are located in eastern India. Naturally, the coal processing companies, Coal India and all those branches, etc., coal mining companies, all of this will form in this region. So this region, all these states, Chhattisgarh, Odisha, Jharkhand, these are predominantly coal dependent economies. All these states get so much revenue from these coal fields. All of the people in the states, many people in the states work in coal mines. So many livelihoods and revenues of the states are very much dependent on the traditional fossil fuels. But if you see, now government is promoting this wind sector and solar sector. Which states are becoming these leaders in this sector? Tamil Nadu, Andhra, Gujarat, Rajasthan, etc. Because Tamil Nadu has huge wind capacity. To become a leader in wind energy sector, you have to be a coastal. You have to be a coastal state. So this Gujarat, Tamil Nadu are leading in wind power. And the solar, Rajasthan and the southern again Tamil Nadu are leading in solar power also. So more southern states and western states are performing better when it comes to renewable sector. Traditionally, these eastern states are better in this fossil fuel sector. Now you are saying we have to eliminate these fossil fuels and we have to promote this renewable sector. So these states will get benefited and these states will be negatively impacted. Same like some sections, poor sections are negatively being impacted by the climate change and our actions toward it, the transition. Same here, because of our actions, our transition, our improper transition, some states are getting advantage, some states are getting disadvantage. So it will give to regional disparities, it will give way to regional inequalities. So we have to take care of this regional inequalities and you cannot be blind to it. You have to first acknowledge it to be able to answer it. So what is the way forward? Whatever the problems we have discussed, we have to answer each and every problem. So that is the way forward. So addressing, you cannot see this environmental solution as isolated. So working on environmental issue should come along with this addressing this socio-economic inequalities and regional inequalities. So all these three, environmental problems, socio-economic inequalities and regional inequalities, all these three need to be addressed simultaneously. This Paris Agreement of 2015, as I have told you, there is something called UNFCCC. There is a Paris Agreement was made under this convention in 2015. This also talks about just a transition of the workforce. So what is just a transition? Just a transition is something that is fair to everyone. So whatever the switch you make, this transition you make from non-renewables to renewables, it should be just transition for all the workforce. You first ensure alternative livelihoods for them. You ensure proper skills for them. Then only you can make this switch from non-fossil to fossil to non-fossil. So a green transition should be accompanied by the federal approach also. As I said, because there are regional inequalities, you have to take this federal approach also. So you should align the goals of the state. So here if you see in the previous slide, the goals of the eastern states, which is earning revenue, is depending on the fossil fuels. The goals of the southern states is depending on the earning revenue from non-fossil fuels. And the goal of the central government is also depending on the non-fossil fuels. So you have to align this. These are very different. So all the states in India should be in sync with the national government. So then only a just transition can be achieved. So that is what the author is saying. So we have to first make this inclusive approach in this transition. If we are not inclusive, we will pay the price in a different way. We may solve this climate to some extent, but it is not fully solved because there are existing inequalities. So to address this climate change problem in a comprehensive way, we have to take care of these inequalities and take this inclusive approach. We have to involve everyone. This is the last editorial for today. an opportunity to recast Indian food system. So Indian food system. So author is saying whatever the food system, first see food as a system. So the way we are operating our food in India is having some issues. India feeds the largest population in the world. India has become the largest country in terms of population recently. This year itself it has crossed China. It has overtook China. Right now India is the most populous country in the world. So India feeds largest population in the country. India with its vast population faces dual challenge of malnutrition and inadequate incomes intertwined with the environmental concerns. So there are three issues here in the way we are operating our food system. So what is it? First one is people are malnutritious. That means they are not getting enough food or they are getting too much food. They are not getting enough nutrients. To be healthy, there are two requirements. One is person should get sufficient food, first of all in quantity. Then there is a quality requirement. It should be nutritious enough. He should receive all the all the essential vitamins and all the other kind of elements, etc. So quality and quantity, these two requirements should be met. If quantity is less, he will have some problems, less weight, wasting, stunting, etc. If the quantity is too much, it will result in obesity. If the quality of the food is not enough, it will result in some kind of other kind of non-communicable diseases. So weak immunity system, etc. So the way we are operating food system is resulting in overall three problems. One is malnutrition. Three problems, author talks about three problems. First is malnutrition. Second is he is talking about farmer incomes. Farmers are producing all our food. Farmers are producing all our food, but they have a fundamental problem of not getting income. So when we imagine a farmer, we usually imagine a very poor and thin farmer. So why such picture comes? There are some farmers who are very rich, but they are very less in number, and they take all the advantage given by the government. Government is doing so much for the farmers: fertilizer subsidy, seed subsidy, direct benefit transfer, etc. So much government is doing, but all of these benefits are appropriated by the rich farmers. Usually poor farmer will end up getting nothing from the government. So ultimately government is at loss, farmer receiving nothing. This is a fundamental problem in India. You will read in agricultural GS3. So most farmers are having this problem of getting less income. They are producing, working so much hard, but they are not getting enough income. Third problem, environmental issues. We have discussed in previous topic also. The third one is environmental damage. What is this environmental damage? You must have heard about something called Green Revolution. So Green Revolution was implemented in 1960s and 70s. So Green Revolution told Indians that you use this kind of new kinds of seeds, you use this much of fertilizers, pesticides, water, electricity, everything. So when you use all this, your output will be high. Okay, our output was high. We have become a self-sufficient country. But over the years, the high usage of fertilizers has affected our soil, and the high use of water has affected again our soil. So soil becoming salinized. The carbon which is very essential for the growth of the plants, the carbon in the soil, organic carbon in the soil is getting reduced. So whatever the agricultural techniques we are implementing for the past few years, it is destroying the soil and the surrounding places. So our agricultural practices are resulting in environmental damage. See, three related problems. One, the food we are producing is not doing justice to the population. Population is becoming malnutrition. Again, people who are producing foods are not happy. They are not satisfied with the incomes. Third one, the way we are producing our food is having a negative effect on the environment. So three related problems because of the way we are operating our food systems. First one is malnutrition. So if you compare to our earlier times, like after independence, India was a very poor country. So India right now in 2023, from independence to 2023, in this past 75 years, has made so much improvements. It has made so much improvement. It has pulled so many people out of the poverty. So there is some progress. India has done commendable progress. World Bank and IMF, etc., commended India. India has done very good progress. still many people have many problems. India is facing dual burden. One is some people are not having enough nutrition. There is this survey, National Family Health Survey, officially conducted by the government. It reveals that many people in India face this problem of undernutrition. So they do not get enough nutrition to the body. They do not eat enough. They don't eat properly. So many children are getting stunted. That means they are not height enough. They don't have enough height. And some people are getting wasted. That means their weight is less. So India is facing these issues of wasting and stunting. And many women are anemic. That means the content of iron in their body is less, in their blood is less. So we are facing one problem of undernutrition. Some people are not getting enough nutrition, and we are also facing issues like obesity. Some people are having this overnutrition. This is undernutrition, this is overnutrition. So India is facing dual burden when it comes to malnutrition. Then if you see farm incomes, farmers, especially smaller farmers, marginal and small farmers, they are grappling with inadequate incomes. As I have already told you, they are not satisfied with the incomes. It is not enough for their survival. They have to take employment outside also. Apart from working on their farms, because the revenue is not enough, they are compelled to work on other fields, other avenues also, like MG Narega. So MG Narega is something provides employment to the people in rural areas. So there is high registration in MG Narega. Why it is high registration MG Narega? Because the farm revenues is not being enough, so people are compelled to take other employment avenues. So this is one other problem. Next one is environment damage. As I said, whatever our agricultural practices are, they are depleting natural resources and they are contributing to the climate change. 2023 Soil Health Survey, it has revealed that almost half of India's cultivable land, suffering from a deficiency in organic carbon, a vital soil health indicator. So our practices are making our soil less deficient. Groundwater is being overexploited. In Punjab, almost 75% of groundwater was overexploited. So I mean, we are overexploiting our groundwater everywhere, especially after this green revolution. This green revolution was comparatively successful in the states like Punjab, Haryana and western UP. So wherever green revolution was successful, their groundwater was overexploited. So as I have told you, three problems: malnutrition, lesser income, environment damage. So what is the way forward? How we should address this? First, we should promote healthy and sustainable diets. Problems of malnutrition, that is undernutrition and overnutrition. Malnutrition is, as I said, two types: undernutrition, overnutrition. So these two problems can be ensured by healthy and sustainable diets. Ensure enough food for everyone, ensure healthy food for everyone. Don't let them eat these ultra processed foods, everything, etc. So you should ensure health and sustainable diets for everyone. That solves the first problem. How do you solve the second problem of lesser revenue for farmers? Transition towards the remunerative and regenerative agricultural practices. So you promote those crops which give them higher value, like horticultural crops. If you cultivate fruits, vegetables, this will give you more revenue than rice and wheat. So some crops are higher, gives higher revenue, higher rewarding, and some crops are lesser rewarding, millets, etc. These days millets are healthy. If you see rice and wheat, these are grains, cereals. These are not that much nutritious. Indian traditional food consisted of something called millets. These are very nutritious. But over the years, in modern times, Indians lost this habit of millets. So if you cultivate these millets, inputs are less, millets need less inputs, so your net revenue is high. Same horticultural practices also, you will get more revenue. So such kind of regenerative and remunerative agricultural practices needs to be promoted. Another one, these remunerative practices, is that natural farming. Most of the cost of the agriculture comes from the high inputs. Farmer has to buy fertilizer, pesticides, everything. So farmer has to buy so many things. Input cost is very high. That's why when compared to the output, his revenue is less. What is revenue? The amount you get minus the amount you invested is the revenue. So farmers are investing too much in our agricultural practices, in these chemicals, fertilizers, pesticides, etc. So you promote natural farming. You promote natural farming or organic farming, which does not use chemical fertilizers, which is completely based on natural methods. So farmers have to buy lesser inputs. They can do on natural practices. Their input cost is less, so they can earn sufficient revenue. So these are some ways to promote the revenue. There is something called National Mission on Natural Farming. This is a good step, but the funding for this scheme should be increased. So higher income can be enabled by doing more value addition to the agricultural produce also. So another way is that you do value processing. So if you sell rice someone to directly, you will receive some lesser amount. If you pack the same rice in a bag, you process it, you remove the husk, you put it in a cover and you sell it, you will get more revenue. You sell milk to someone, you sell milk to someone directly, you will get less revenue. You process it, make it more hygienic, more safe, you put it in a packet, then you sell, you will get more revenue. So whatever you process, you will get more revenue. If you sell that wheat powder directly, you will receive lesser revenue. But if you make biscuits from the wheat, you process it and you sell it as a value added processed food, you will get higher revenue. So encourage value addition so that farmers will receive more revenue. So this is how second problem can be solved. Now the third problem of environment damage. So first one, healthy diets is a consumer side perspective. So the customer needs to be encouraged healthy dieting. So first one is solved by the perspective of the customer. Second one, farmer, producer. First one is consumer, second one is producer. Farmer should be encouraged to take new kind of remunerative, regenerative practices. Now third one is middleman. Third one needs to be done by middlemen or these rich companies. So what they have to do? They have to procure directly from the farmers. Don't make too many middlemen or too many brokers in between. So these companies needs to buy directly from the farmers so that farmers better revenue can be assured to the farmers and they can get quality produce also. And these rich companies have enough technology, so they can help farmers with the technology also, so that there will be less environment damage. And also incentivize those farmers who produce sustainably. So you say, I want tomatoes which have produced without using chemical fertilizers. I want those mangoes which have produced through natural methods without spraying anything. So those farmers who resort to sustainable methods, you procure from them. You encourage such kind of procurement. Already many startups are doing the same thing. You can do the same. Many startups are already implemented in this way. And there are some farmer producer organizations, a group of farmers coming together and they are forming something called farmer producer organization, just to have more bargaining power. Enable buying between these two. One farmer producer organization, that means this group will sell to another farmer producer organization. These people will cultivate rice, so these people will sell rice to another group. That group, second group, will produce wheat, so and they will sell wheat to the first group. So transaction is between farmers. So in this way they can ensure revenue and also sustainable methods also. So through these various methods we have ensured solution to all our three problems. So author conclusively says, shifting an entire food system is no mean feat. He understands it is difficult, but we should see it as an opportunity instead of a challenge. Our ambitions should be high and we have to set an example for the world. So that is it for today. We have already uploaded our prelims video. Every day we are uploading 2 videos. One is for editorials and one is for prelims. Please keep following us. We keep uploading all these videos daily. Thank you.